green-born businesses, innovative green businesses. I would like to invite to the stage our next moderator, Irina Obushtarova, co-founder and CEO at The Recursive.
Thank you so much.
She'll be joined by, you can take a seat.
Thank you.
She'll be joined by Hussein Yemengiev, co-founder and CEO at Enova H2O. Gergana Stancheva, co-founder at Lamon. And Kremena Dervenkova, executive director at the Association of the Bulgarian Leaders and Entrepreneurs, ABO. Please. As before, I'll tell you just a bit more about our moderator, Irina. Like 3 or 4 days ago, I confessed to Irina that I'm a huge fan to everything she does, so it would be my pleasure. So she holds a degree from University of Vienna, and she started her professional career in media at the popular Viennese transcultural magazine Biber. Is that how I pronounce it? Biber? Biber. Yes. Like Justin.
Like Justin, yes.
Yeah, all right. And continued later on in some of the largest agencies for PR and communication in Austria. So in 2016, she made her first attempt at entrepreneurship. She founded her own startup, and through her work with that startup, she started to get inspired and to observe more closely the migration trends in Europe, resulting in massive brain drain in countries like Bulgaria and Romania. So as I mentioned, she developed a strong passion for startups and disruptive business models. After gaining experience in digital marketing, working for various tech product companies, Irina moved back to Sofia in 2019 and co-founded The Recursive, a media platform for the innovation ecosystem in Southeast Europe. Before we get on with the panel, just a quick note. As you have noticed at the lobby, there are booths. One of them is dedicated to The Recursive, so make sure to stop by and learn more about the media dedicated to innovators. So please, Irina.
Thank you so much for reminding me of my path so far. It's always good to look back, and also reminding me of my failed startup in Austria. But I guess this is a capital that I can proudly wear. So today we speak about those who are green-born. And here on stage with me, I have 3 founders who proved that this has a future and that innovation can actually drive green transformation. While small and medium companies are the backbone of the European economy, startups are the launcher towards a more sustainable future through innovation. Today at the panel, we will present the insights of the zero-waste startup Lamon, the water purification innovators Enova H2O, and also the Association of the Insect Producers in Bulgaria. I think this is the role that I'm going to refer to you today, Kremena. Let me get a bit more into detail. Hussein Yemengiev is the co-founder and the CEO of Enova H2O. He's a biotechnologist, an associate professor, and a researcher at Burgas Professor at Dr. Zlatarov University, skilled in environmental biotechnology, project management, and entrepreneurship. Co-founder of Enova, a startup company creating a new generation of instruments for water quality monitoring. Next to him, Gergana Stancheva is the co-founder of Lamon. She's an illustrator and a graphic designer with more than 10 years of experience in the field. In 2017, Gergana, together with her 2 co-founders, launched Lamon, a biodegradable laminating film for print. The project won 2nd place in 2017 at the national finals of Climate Launchpad, a place in the Climate Kick Accelerator program in 2018, and a place at the Chivas Venture top 10 for in 2019. Lamon was also selected as one of 30 teams taking part in the EU SIG program in 2019. Gergana, on top, she was awarded a place in the Forbes 30 under 30 class of 2017 for social entrepreneurship. Don't blush. Kremena Dervenkova is the co-chairwoman, I would say, because today is a SHEleader conference, of the Association of Insect Producers in Bulgaria, a newly established non-profit organization that aims to put the legal framework for insect breeders and pave the way for development of the insect sector in Bulgaria. She is also the executive director of ABO, the Association of the Bulgarian Leaders and Entrepreneurs, an active community of over 300 young professionals and entrepreneurs who develop projects toward driving positive change in Bulgaria. Their portfolio includes a mentorship program for high school students, an early stage entrepreneurship program for university students and young professionals. She is savvy and passionate about food, different cultures, exploring culinary traditions, and she is also passionate about the advocate of, help me with that, entomorphology? No.
Entomophagy.
Entomophagy. We will speak also about that, the practice of eating insects, as the most meaningful alternative development of a healthy, sustainable, and eco-friendly food system. She is also in the class of Forbes 30 under 30 of 2019. And I'm going to also ask you, all those leaders in the audience, if you would like to join our stage, we can make it even more interactive, so the purple chair is still empty and it's waiting for you. Do not hesitate at all, at any time. I'm going to start with the first question, and it goes to all of you. I think we have heard very much that you have both a very inspirational journey so far, but I want to bring you a bit back in time and ask you what motivated you to go into entrepreneurship and on top of that in the sustainability field. Giriana, let's start with you.
Thank you. First of all, thanks very much for the invite. It's always an honor. Honestly, we started out of need. As you mentioned, I was working in print a lot, and we were just looking for the product we are currently starting to produce. So it was never my plan to be in business and be an entrepreneur at all. I just need the products we're making. So this is how it started.
How did you develop your entrepreneurship skills from someone who was actually an illustrator and a graphic designer? It's very, very different.
Slowly.
Slowly?
Well, not that slow. But actually, all of the programs that we took part in, there was a lot of free mentorship, which I can only say good things about. We managed to work with extreme professionals who, gave us their knowledge just like that and just supported us throughout our journey. And then just, workshops and reading and watching other people's work, and yeah, again, out of need.
Hussein, I think you are in the breeding spot for innovations. You're right at the university, but what led you into entrepreneurship?
Of course, our motivation, as usual, we want to be a part of this transformation to the greener, more sustainable world, etc. But the main driver was much more trivial.
I'm sorry that this is happening to the only man in the panel.
Yeah, coming from the research and academia background, we had many projects and different research findings and results. And at one point, we decided to search for industrial and business partners to commercialize and implement these research results. Unfortunately, we were very unsuccessful in this. And in the end, we decided to start our own company just to shorten the path from lab to the practice. So I think in our case, this is the main driver.
It's not the startup hype, but it's actually a vehicle where you can
Yeah, it's not very romantic, but till now, I think it was, as a motivation, it is very strong and very sustainable in time. Because when you have some hype or you follow some fashion, you can get bored very soon.
Kremena, you're the co-chair of the newly established Association of Insect Producers in Bulgaria. Why was it necessary to establish such a cluster organization, and what are your goals? What do you want to achieve?
The commercialization of insects in the Western world is rather a new thing, a new trend, which started only 10 to 12 years ago. And although already 2 billion people across the world eat insects on a regular basis, for us, it's a new thing that needs a lot of time for people to accept and for the legislation to be created, adapted, and implemented. And although there is legislation on EU level regarding insects for animal feed, with all the regulations, with the legal framework that enables insect farmers to operate their farms, in Bulgaria, those regulations are not applied, they're not implemented in any way. So people here are not able to sustain their farms operationally, and it really is a struggle for a person to start an insect business in Bulgaria. And this is why we established this insect association with fellow insect enthusiasts in order to work together with Bulgarian institutions and authorities to implement the necessary regulations to create the framework in order to have an enabling environment for people who want to start an insect business, and of course to raise awareness about the benefits of insects as one of the solutions to many global problems.
And still, I think we will definitely need a cultural shift in the mindset before we approach this on a mass level. Is the association also doing something in this direction? Why is it necessary that we start eating insects or feeding our animals with insects?
Oh, my favorite
Sorry for
topic.
the stupid question.
Oh, no, it's not stupid at all. Well, insects are very good for people's health and for the planet because they save resources. They require very little land to be bred at, and then they require very little resources, like 20 to 50,000 times less resources compared to conventional livestock in order to get 1 kilo of output of insects, then 1 kilo of livestock. You need really a little amount of water, feed, land. They don't emit any greenhouse gases, almost any. They breed very quickly, and they're really great in terms of nutritional value for human consumption. So we save resources, and we as well provide our bodies with healthy food ingredients. Actually, the best protein out there.
Wow. I guess then it's a question of packaging.
True, yeah. Overcoming the yuck factor.
So if we look at the data, we would see that it's the big corporations that actually cause the majority of global greenhouse emissions, also water pollution. How do you see the role of green tech and clean tech startups in order for us to really make a brave step towards a more sustainable future? Aren't you, I'm sorry to ask that in a provocative way, isn't that too small? How do you see the impact growing so that we can drive this green transformation, Hussein?
Well, startups, they are much more flexible than the big companies, and they are the best platform for validation of different business models and different new technologies. And being small doesn't mean that you are not important. I'll give you an example from the kinetics of the chemical reactions. The catalyst usually is the compound in the smallest amount in the mixture, but it has the most important role for the rate of the chemical reaction. And in some cases, some reactions, they are not possible without catalysts. So my opinion and my view on this is that the startups, they are the catalysts of the change.
Thank you so much. This is a good quote. I would like to use it somehow. Cremena?
I can also add on that. I think there's a major difference between big corps and the startups working in the field of climate technologies. And while it is expected from corporations to demonstrate that they're actively engaging and undertaking initiatives that offset the damage or the negative effect of their activities on the environment, they're required from their stakeholders to showcase that they're doing that. And I recently read in a McKinsey report that actually corporations that engage in green initiatives perform better at the capital markets. So it's no longer a good to have, but a must have thing. And then there are the startups that are purely driven by passion and by purpose into creating climate technology. And I think this makes a huge difference. The initial, the original motivation to start a company in the green business or to undertake green initiatives.
Gergana, you've been in this field for a very long time. You've seen how hard it is to start a business like this and also to lead a green transformation in your field. Do you feel that small companies don't really matter?
Obviously not. No, I totally agree that I believe startups are the catalyst of the market, and I believe that however small a company is, if there is an innovation that's kind of makes its way to the population and it kind of works, then that drives the competition forward. So in a few years, all the corporations are getting it, and now they're starting to do that as well, which means they're also moving towards something more sustainable. So I believe that's through small companies and especially startups, because as you mentioned, they're much more agile and flexible and faster. This is how the market changes, and so yeah. So of course everybody matters.
Let's hope this is not going to be only greenwashing, though. There is another big player when it comes to the green transformation, and this is the government and the state and the public structures. Do you feel that the state is supporting green and clean tech businesses in Bulgaria? And do you feel that now, with the new RFF, this is a priority on a governmental level? I'm going to start with you, maybe, Gergana, because I see that you're burning to share your...
I have my critiques. No, unfortunately, so far, green innovative companies have not been a priority for our governments. They're about to be, I think, the last year, but we'll see. But things are changing, especially in a European level. The previous panel mentioned that being in the European Union has been very beneficial for young companies, especially for us. Like, Lamon wouldn't have been here without the support of the European Union and all of the programs we took part in, and now we are being funded by the EU in a way. So, yeah, in Bulgaria we're really slow and a bit behind on that train, unfortunately. And this is how a lot of companies are being moved to. Bulgarian startups are moving to Western Europe because they get offered better opportunities and a much faster way to grow there. So hopefully we'll start thinking about that on a governmental level a lot and kind of change the laws, make sure everybody's well supported, and make sure that there is a way to establish a company that is a startup and then grow from there.
Hussein, you're also in a public institution, so I'm going to extend the question also including research. Do you feel that you receive support in this direction?
Yeah, talking about research, we have support from different government levels, I mean national and EU scale. And there is several programs and instruments to support and finance scientific research. And talking about the entrepreneurship and startups and namely the green businesses, I think that, well, in terms of intentions, there is a support for green businesses, but my opinion is that more action is needed, especially talking about transforming the legislation and the framework to regulate the green businesses. What we need, first of all, of course, is a very good definition of what is a green business. if we have this definition, then many measures could be directed to the green businesses once they are defined as such. So I think that at the first stage we need really some legislative transformations and changes, some new legislations, regulations, and definition for green businesses. Because now, even if there is some instruments for supporting and financing and encouraging green businesses, many traditional companies and businesses just masks themselves as a green and start using these resources.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cremena, how is it in the fields of insects? Okay, I think you mentioned it in the beginning.
Yeah, I think I said it all.
Yeah.
I don't think I should go into
Yeah.
details, but there's rather like lack of. We've been trying to get in contact with some institutions, and it's really difficult to even start a conversation. So,
But there is a huge opportunity. You mentioned that in the beginning as well. So, based on your experience, are there enough funding opportunities? And I'm not speaking of public funds, I'm speaking more of venture capital. We see that more and more venture capitalists are interested in innovation, which is in the green tech, in the also energy tech field. And which are the challenges that you had to face so far when it comes to fundraising? I'm going to maybe go to Gergana this time because I'm not, yes.
Sure.
I'm sure that
I have some experience there.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest challenges for us were the fact that, now things are changing, but a few years ago, the majority of the investments were going to kind of the IT sector, just because it's a lot faster to grow and less risk. When it comes to manufacturing, which is what we are, it's very financially draining, so you need a lot of money up front before you actually start producing and entering the market. So this makes it not that appealing for investors to kind of, share their money with us. Things are changing. More and more VCs are, switching that direction and starting to fund startups and companies in general who are in production, which is great. And then the other issue is that there is kind of a gap between when you have a prototype and when you want to scale. So the seed stage, there are not that many investors there. Most of the VC funds are kind of more drawn to the scale-up side of one's journey and less so on the seed investment, or even pre-seed is even harder. So this is where you can mostly, turn to business angels and, smaller funds. But there is a certain gap where you're, a little bit after the prototype, but not yet, actually making profits. So you're in the twilight zone, and there are not a lot of funds there.
Thank you for sharing that. Hussein, I think you bootstrapped most of your business, and you're also making profits. Did you ever consider going into venture capital?
Yes, of course, but at this stage we are more focused on scaling and development, and later on we will look for an investment round. And I agree with Gergana that there is a gap. Most of the funding opportunities, they are concentrated in the early stage, which is of course great, because when you start business you have expenses, you don't have income, you have to hire experts and expertise. So these are great opportunities to validate your idea, to build a prototype or MVP. And later on, I think the market is the best validator. And many startups, they fall on this trap of funding and searching for external resources. But I believe that at a specific certain point of development, each startup must to stop looking for projects and grants and external funding, and must to have to try to gain and to raise money by selling and from the market. So this will be the best validation for the product, for the idea, for the approach, and you don't need to extend this period of fail with external funding. So.
Okay. We can argue on that. It probably depends on the venture, but I guess you had it the hard way, having a research-heavy kind of startup, yeah, and still managed to
that's right,
commercialize it.
I mean that startups must look for investment when they have the clear idea for scaling up, for enlarging their teams, their production capacity, improving their facilities, etc.
Okay.
Not only for soft measures and soft activities.
Thank you for this tip. I'm going to maybe revert a bit the question and share with you a bit data that kind of really pisses me off. So a report actually says, that was published last year, that it's only 1% of the venture capital that goes into women-led startups, 5% into gender-mixed teams, founding teams. Do you feel that this is different in Bulgaria? Is it double more difficult to fundraise as a woman in a green tech startup? I'm sorry for the question, but
no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think it's that more difficult, especially in Bulgaria. In the business and in the innovation scene, there is really not that much sexism, or at least I have not witnessed it firsthand. So one of the reasons for that statistic is that women in general just ask for less money, which is mostly a cultural issue. And in Lemon, we've been guilty of that as well, honestly. Especially in the beginning, we asked for less because you don't want to be too pushy or to ask for too much, because then you're not going to get anything. So it's a cultural thing, and it's a mindset that we are thankfully on global level growing out of slowly. But it just takes time for us to unlearn specific behaviors, and also just because entrepreneurship and startups and that lifestyle is a lot of risks and a lot of time consuming. So just because women are still expected to be the main caregivers, it's less women enter that that type of business, and are less prone to taking huge risks when it comes to their livelihood. And hoping to be able to pay the bills is not exactly great, especially if you're caring for somebody else. But yeah, things are changing. Things are getting more balanced. Hopefully, we'll just become better at sharing not only our successes, but also our everything that happens in the house, and sharing the those difficulties as well.
I remember when we were fundraising for the Recursive, I asked a friend, a man, to give me tips of how to put my evaluation, how to calculate my evaluation. And he said, there is a very simple method. You put yourself in front of the mirror, and then you start going up in the amount. And the moment where you're actually ashamed of yourself, this is your evaluation. So I guess it can be more practiced by women as well. Before we wrap up, I want to also check a bit with you, Clemena, the trends, because you work also with very many young people. We see that entrepreneurship and also startups are a very exciting career direction for the Gen Zs. Is it the same for green transformation? Do you see that this is also drawing their passion, both for entrepreneurs, future entrepreneurs, but also employees?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Young people more and more today are interested and engaged and are very well aware of the environmental situation the world is in. And somehow they feel urged to react to this situation one way or another. And in our programs Enable, I've observed that a lot of people, especially 10 and 11 graders, are passionate about developing solution for either environmental or social challenges. And it's in our DNA as an organization to instill the entrepreneurial mindset very early on, so that ultimately we cultivate the next generation of entrepreneurs that will be developing solutions to counter climate crisis. Yes, definitely, I would say that young people around me are very much engaged into preserving the planet and finding ways to undo the damage that has already been done.
It's very optimistic. It gives me hope. Speaking of the future, my last question would be, what comes next to each of you? What are you looking forward to when it comes to your career, professional path? Kremani, you have the mic. Maybe you can start.
Yeah, well, I hope that someday we will be, and it's my personal mission to put Bulgaria on the map and make it at least a regional leader in insect products, and I truly believe that. And this is what I've put as my one of my main goals. So this is what I'm very much focused on.
Great, and I definitely believe that we have the potential.
Oh, we do.
Hussein.
Well, future, in a professional plan, we, in Innova, we want to be part of the transformation in our sector, in water sector, and we want to offer instruments for completely new approach on water quality monitoring, which will allow us to receive and obtain better quality data with higher resolution. And of course, in the end, we'll have better water ecosystems, healthier ecosystems, and a better environment in general.
Thank you, Hussein.
For us, we are currently setting up our own production facility here in Sofia.
Yes.
Very exciting. We're waiting for the machines. One of them is already flowing, so very soon. We are hiring a lot of people. By the end of the year, we should be around 10 people, which is quite a change from 3. So yeah, we are starting production by the end of this year. So this is what we're doing.
Amazing. Thank you, Girgana. Unfortunately, no one dared to sit on the purple chair. Maybe we can invite a future leader who would like to ask their question to our panelists. With all the lights, I can't really pick someone and encourage them to do that. But yes, it's a way to get used to that. I'm sure that all of you will have a leadership position in the future, or probably also have it. Public speaking is not that scary. If you have any kind of concerns about it, come to me. I was very, very, very nervous when we started the conversation today, as always. And years ago, I was almost aggressive before I came to the stage. So, thank you so much for your insights. Thank you so much for also this kind of very optimistic talk. I was worried, to be honest, that this kind of sector, that green tech and also clean tech businesses are not really in the right environment in Bulgaria, but obviously, as always, we have very robust founders here who managed to go through the challenges and establish themselves on an international level with true innovations. Very inspiring. Thank you so much. Big applause to our panelists.